Hey guys, Fantastic Mr. S here again, and you're watching Dangerously Rockin' Reviews! Now, I've been asked quite a bit recently if I'm going to do a song that I don't hate. Well guys, to answer your question, yes, I am finally going to do one. But not because you guys asked me to, but because I plan to do it on my own terms. I mean, hello? Episode 1? I plan to do songs or albums, old and new, that I either love, hate, or just think are okay. So without further ado, here's a song that I don't hate. Okay, come on, this is Santana's newer stuff we're talking here. I love Santana. In fact, I think he's one of the greatest guitarists who ever lived. I mean, he and his band made some great material back in the late 60s, early 70s, but after that it was pretty much all downhill from there. And yes, that goes especially for his material from his comeback years, because that was a major departure from what made him so legendary back then. Not only did it feature an entirely new band, except for himself, but almost every song on those albums since Supernatural had guest singers on them. These range from Dave Matthews, Lauryn Hill, Chad Kroeger from Nickelback, Michelle Branch, even Aerosmith frontman Steven Tyler sang on one of his tunes. But there is one track in particular from this era in his career that I'd like to talk about in this review. And it comes off of the album Supernatural. This one is smooth. That's the name of the track, and it's got Rob Thomas singing on it. I'm starting off with this Santana track partially because it was the first of his songs that I remember listening to. But strangely, I didn't even know it was him at the time. Hell, I didn't even know who he was until I heard his album Shaman a few years later. But I do remember liking this song quite a bit. It was groovy and colorful, and it had a good classic rock momentum to it. Now, I'm not sure whether much of that was coming from Santana's guitar riffs or the singing of Rob Thomas, but either way, I thought it was very fascinating. But does it still hold up as well as it did when I'd listened to it in my younger years? Well, that's kinda what I wanted to talk to you about. After I got into playing Guitar Hero when I was about 15 or so, that's when I discovered Santana's early material from the 70s, and I really started to dig that. But the more of his early material I started listening to and getting attracted to, the less I was starting to like his guest singer tracks, and the more flaws I was seeing in those tracks. And I'm sorry, but Smooth is no exception. So where does it fall flat? Well, there's the horn section for starters. It's not bad or anything, it's just distracting. Why is it there? I mean, it certainly wasn't part of Santana's original material, so what's it doing here? What does it add to the song? I'll tell you what it adds to the song. It adds nothing! Except make it a little more poppy. In fact, I think I might recognize that horn track. It sounds like one of the unused tracks from the Rainbow in the Dark session. Also, I'm not a huge fan of the structuring of this song. All it is verse, chorus, then guitar solo, and then chorus. And that's about it. Look, I got nothing against the whole verse, chorus structure. I mean, some of my favorite songs use that structure. But if you are going to use it, at least give it some kind of twist. You know? Surprise us somehow! Like, throw in a bridge or two, or maybe an extra verse, or an extra solo. Anything to give the songwriting some more pizzazz would be nice. Santana's early material wasn't about structuring or Grammy baiting or any of that crap. It was mainly improvisation and letting the instruments speak for themselves. Hell, those songs rarely even use the standard song structure. because that's how badass he and his original band could be. And yes, despite the band being called Santana, it wasn't just him providing the guitar solos. In fact, half the time, the songs had some organ solos too, courtesy of then keyboardist and singer Greg Roll. And they were fantastic. In his newer songs, there's very little of that organ sound going on. And if there is, it's mostly relegated to the background, as with most post-90s songs. Come on, Santana, get those organ solos back in there, will ya? Give me your heart, make it real, or else for all those problems I just mentioned, the stuff that was good about it before is still good now. Like performances, for instance. Carlos Santana plays a mean guitar as always, and on top of that, literally, Rob Thomas's singing is still enjoyable to listen to. His vocal style's got a ton of character and enthusiasm, and you can always feel that whenever you listen to one of his songs. And also, the song's overall sound is still good too, because it still sounds like Santana, because he's got the guitar solos down and the congas and bongos and cowbells, because, you know. More cowbell! But more importantly, it's still colorful as always, it's still groovy, and it's still got that classic rock vibe I remember it having long ago. And you feel like there's a party within that song going on in a different place. Even if it's got some generic lyrics and song structuring and an unnecessary horn section. I think Santana only had those horns put in there because he was getting ideas from Aerosmith when they made their comeback back in '87. So all in all, Smooth is, how shall I put it, hit and miss. I mean, I didn't feel like I was listening to a Santana song that had Rob Thomas singing on it. In fact, I felt like it was the other way round. There was a Rob Thomas song featuring Santana and his band and a horn section. Of course, that's not a bad thing, but this was coming from Santana, the guy who recorded Black Magic Woman and No One to Depend On, so you'd think he'd put a little more substance into this song. But as is, it's not as good as his material from the 70s, nor is it a great song even on its own, but it still holds up as well as it did when I first listened to it. And so, I'll still groove along to it every now and then. And any song you can groove along to without second thought is good enough for me. This one's a win. Win! I'm the fantastic Mr. S, and you're watching Daily Rockin' Reviews!